Good Monday to you, everybody in COM 785. Welcome to week, boom, 2. How's everybody doing? You settling in? You have the books? Everything's good? You got it all ready to go? Whoa. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Much better. Gold Coast espresso. Very nice. Okay. Welcome to the video in which we review what you did last week. Now, click over to the other video to get for a discussion of our material for this week, week 2, but we're not going to focus on that in this video. All right, so last week we had a very brief introduction into the history of public relations, okay? And specifically, we took a look at some key figures in this history. Notably among them was the personage of Mr. Edward Bernays. I had you start with the chapter in Wilson et al., right? And then I gave you the chapter from Ewins. I think that's how he pronounces his name. If I'm completely massacring it, send me an email and let me know. And then I asked you to take a look at the relationship stylings of Mr. Green, asking you what you thought. Okay. All right. So let's go and look at the questions and what you said and see if we can't bring anything else to light and let you know, what it is that we were aiming at. Because remember, in addition to the paper concerning which I will have a sheet for you this week, all right, for your term paper. But in addition to that, we have a midterm and a final exam. All right. And the midterm, the material for both of those examinations will be drawn directly from Blackboard and the material that we cover here in the video lectures. So you want to be cued into both of them. All right, let's take a look at the questions from the material, see what you said, and see what we can add. According to the survey cited by Wilson et al., which two voices of authority does the public trust the most? If the survey findings are valid, what implications do they have for you as a developing communication professional? Okay, a number of you got this one wrong. I mean, I'm just going to tell you flat out. You were looking over on pages 4 and 5 of Wilson et al., and I really wanted you to look over on page 6 because it is there in figure 1.2 that he has the voices of authority, regain credibility, and from 2017 to 2018 with percentage change, okay? And the top 2 of those voices were technical experts and academic experts, or Cheryl. Let's go to you, as you point out, according to Wilson et al., the 2018 Elderman Trust Barometer looks at several voices of authority in which public trusts most. The voices include a person like me, the most trusted and influential, but voices of authority that score the highest are technical experts and academic experts, followed by, in the number 3 slot, persons like me. Okay? So the question then becomes, what does this mean to you as developing communication professionals? Well, first and foremost, if you come out of the program with good training and the PhD, you will by default occupy those top 2 slots. Okay, and as part of your training in communication, okay. And we'll talk about this a little bit as we get further in the course. If you can learn how to relate to people, in fact, there's an actual process of when you're talking to someone, and it's called mimicry and mirroring. Okay, so regardless of who you are talking to, that you can come off, you can present yourself as someone that they can relate to, you will have bagged the top 3. Now, bear in mind this trust barometer, although it's taken across the population as a whole, that these trends also tend to be true for the people that run organizations or that are part of city municipal structures, or most significantly to you, offer jobs and interview candidates. And that question of trust and believability, especially in communication, is absolutely central. So the upshot of this question is it's good news for you as a developing professional, but it means that you should be focused, very, very carefully on those three aspects of your professional development. Number one, learning your lessons well. That is, learning the theories, the techniques, the processes of communication well. So technically, you know what you're doing. And then number two, doing well in your academic program. So you become this academic persona. And then number three, learn how to relate to people. Now, in the other video, I'm going to tell you about this week's assignment, which is an essay in which you're going to get an opportunity to practice that. That is relatability, at least in written form. Okay, let's take a look at question number 3. After reading the following summary of Green's book, 48 Laws of Power, okay, and then, I apologize for all the ads. I looked around for sites that gave a summation because I don't want to, I'm not going to suggest that you buy this work. I bought it so you don't have to. And after reading D.K. Powell's review of Green's book, what is your opinion of Green's approach to communication and human relations? Is he, as he claims in the interview with Dr. Jordan Peterson, just keeping it real? And this is, my sort of summation of what he's up to. Or is there something nefarious going on in his work? Now, I gave you the link to the interview with Dr. Peterson as an optional, but because something is optional doesn't mean that I'll just optionally mention it. I'm suggesting that you do it, although I'm not going to require it, meaning you won't see material drawn from, say, that interview on any of the examinations. But I think it rounds out the discussion. So when you see those, this is an option link, click on it, enjoy yourself. Okay. Anyway, Ranesh, I think you went first. So, but whether you did or not, I like what you have to say. I found Green's approach to be dishonest, which impedes engaging in a cooperative communication experience. I found some leaders and others who utilize these tactics never outshine the master with their engagement, which creates a sense of distrust and unhealthy relationships. Since these tactics or laws are utilized by some, it's important to understand some of these to ensure that your own communication is effective and competent, such as how much you say or using an indirect approach instead. There are laws by Green, such as court attention at all costs, that are simply dangerous and should be ignored. That's a good point. Green's tactics will lead to resentment. Communication needs to be reciprocal, where everyone has a voice. And if you recall from the video that I posted explaining the material for week 1, why do I spend any time with Green? I mean, it's easy to find straw men, someone who is a bad apple, okay, and then maybe within the context of an entire industry, it amounts to like really a bad crab apple, just a teeny weeny thing that is in no way representative of the industry, but not in this case. That Green being so highly sought after by major corporations, major media and cultural figures. If you watch the interview with Dr. Peterson, you've got the bit where he talks about his time with rappers like 50 Cent. Excuse me, a little water. And consequently, what he's doing and how he's thinking is making its way out into public discourse. So it's not just a fringe thing. Ranesh, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, yes, of course, some of the material in there is just good life advice. Like, don't be a jerk to your boss. Duh. Okay. But when you get down to, court attention at all costs, or get others to do your work for you and take all the credit. Okay. Now you're moving into the area of not good career advice, but you're a jerk. And yes, of course, people have done these things and used these things. I mean, why stop at 48? why not say the 49 laws of power and the 49th is just, if all else fails, stabby, stabby, it just, just murder those who oppose you, concerning which there are people out there that's their approach, but this doesn't make it a good idea or something that you should dress up as well, and this is how they dealt with Caesar. I mean, it's like, yeah, okay. All sorts of nefarious things have happened throughout history. That doesn't mean that by giving an example of them and sort of boiling down the essence of them and calling it a law, that it makes it a good idea. All right. Okay. Good answer. All right. Question number 3 in the BBC documentary, Subconscious Marketing, Propaganda, Public Relations, Bernays with Freud. What did Ewing mean when he said, it's not that the people are in charge, it's that the people's desires are in charge? And this was embedded in the special, in the, the documentary. And so I pulled it out of there because I wanted to make sure that you watched the whole thing. So, see, unlike Green, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm up to here. I'm not hiding anything. Okay, Alyssa. According to Bernays, Freud's daughter, and others, humans are irrational people whose desires and instincts must be controlled, or there would be mayhem. In other words, all decisions must be made through desire and emotion, and we do not have of which we do not have the capability of controlling these or ourselves. However, Bernays and the other mentioned above were only half right. Yes, we can be moved to act by our desires and emotions. That is, the art of persuasion works. However, we also have the ability to think critically and based on reason as well. It's up to the individual to decide which desire irrational thinking will win. Or maybe when you mean will win will be is the best choice at the time. Bernays and others took advantage of the public's instincts and desires. Okay. And that's you're right. What I wanted, though, in focusing on this quote, what is it that Ewing is getting at? Well, what he's getting at is that two things. One, he's saying, as you point out correctly, Elisa. And by the way, if I mispronounce anybody's name, just send me an email. Say, yo, dude, it's pronounced like this, and that's fine. I get that. That yes, that this is the frame of reference that Bernays has. Okay, that what's in charge, where a person is concerned, is the desires, and not the rational mind. But additionally, what Ewing is pointing out is not only was this frame, this is the frame of reference of thinkers like Bernays, but as the documentarian makes the point that the Bernaysian system of playing on emotions and desires was introduced by Bernays and then got picked up by the free market, large enterprise, and then got picked up by major political parties like the Democrat Party throughout the 90s and the Labour Party in Britain, in which policies and processes for government programs were designed around surveying the public desire. So in effect, what Ewing is saying is this is not merely his recognition of Bernays' perspective. He's saying that since this sort of rippled out through business into governance, this is how we are being governed. It's not government by the people for the people. It's government through the people's desires to manipulate the people. All right. So yes, you're partially right in your answer, and that's what I want you to get as a takeaway. Okay. Question number 4. Explain why Ewing characterized Bernays' views of democracy as hallucinogenic. And that's not exactly the word that he used. All right, but I did it that way on purpose because I wanted you to dig around a little bit. Alan, Ewing characterized Bernays' views of democracy as hallucinogenic because during his interview with him, he, quote, conveyed his hallucination of democracy. A highly educated class of opinion-molding tacticians is continuously at work analyzing the social terrain and adjusting the mental scenery from which the public mind, which is limited in intellect, derives its opinions. Okay, excellent answer. meaning, meaning that this isn't democracy. Democracy, in its strictest sense, I mean, it comes from the Greek word demos, Demos, which means the crowd. All right. And so democracy means rule by the majority of people. Now, as a system of governance, and this is pertinent to you as a communication professional, it's not necessarily the best system because popular opinion, that is the opinion of the crowd, is easy to manipulate, and it's highly shifting and malleable. As you're going to read in Wilson et al. This week in Chapter 2, trying to work as a communication professional and simply follow what seems to be the current trend within public opinion is generally a bad idea. And it gives you a couple of examples. And one of the ones from the corporate world is that of the story of New Coke. And I won't spoil it for you. That is the story, not the Coke, because you're going to read about and find out for yourself. Okay? So because of that, because of the volatility of what it is that the crowd wants, those who design our system of government, who were very aware of the shortcomings of the crowd, that they designed a two-tiered system on a local level, that is how people impacted each other in areas and scenarios where they lived with one another. They created a democracy. On a national level, on a federal level, how people were going to impact people that didn't live next to them, say, one state to another. They created a representative republic, a representative system. That is, there's this buffer between the direct will of the people and those that are elected to governing office. And the most obvious manifestation of that is the Electoral College. And the idea here is to keep states that have large, dense populations like New York and California from controlling the outcome of the federal election that would affect everybody in, say, Tennessee to Montana, Wyoming. Pick a state that's not really heavily populated. Okay, so what he meant by that, though, to go back to this, is that democracy that is a veneer, an illusion, and is really a system controlled by intellectual elites is no democracy at all. And Bernays would use these words. He'd say, well, democracy is, and then, And so Ewan is saying, yeah, this guy's a little nuts. Okay. All right. So good answer. Okay, everybody, that's a review for the material from last week. Be sure to click on over to the other video to get a discussion of the material for this week. And I will see you on Blackboard. Take care. God bless.